Hello, and thank you for joining me at the BIM Coordinator Summit for this session on anticipating trends and what's happening and adapting to future industrial trends. I'm from the Copenhagen School of Design and Technology. I'm a lecturer here, and we adopted BIM back in 2006, and we are promoting it and driving it as far as we can to this date. We're now seeing a challenge to what digitalization has happened with digitalization, and that is this artificial intelligence is becoming all-invasive, and it's been seen everywhere. Most of my students use GPT for their deliverables, and it is our opinion that if we do not own this new technology, we'll be left behind. Currently, we're looking at a reduction in our education because we will not be delivering all the deliverables, because as we work with cloud solutions, my cloud as a stakeholder can talk to a contractor's cloud as a builder, can talk to a municipality's cloud as the municipality. And soon, the bigger picture, financial institutions will see no purpose in soliciting all work stages and paying for each handover when they can go direct to the digital twin and save money. This has an implication. Machine learning is also part of AI. And what's happening is, as we do a process, the machine learns from it. It takes longer than human learning, but already we have a Tesla car that doesn't need a driver. It took it 5-10 years to get to that. And so as it builds up data and takes in data, it can begin to make intelligent decisions with a smattering of information. BIM is a disruptive technology. In contrast to CAD, and it brings a different value network to the AEC industry. Where BIM sows information in a model environment, VDC largely harvests that information for downstream use, including commissioning, facility management, and construction logistics. Where a disruptive technology emerges, its effect on the mainstream is not always clear. What we might be seeing is the early stages of disruption, and in those early stages, it's very difficult to know what the effects will be. We don't have the breadth of vision currently to see where and for whom the benefits of BIM will emerge. That was back in 2016. We're also seeing a proliferation of the Internet of Things. These are a network of physical objects and sensors that are embedded, and they automatically connect to each other and exchange data when they can. It's become widespread due to the number of prevalence of digital devices, namely mobile phones. Handheld devices and the coverage of the internet penetration across the globe has made a very different dynamic. We here at the school, we use a common data environments. That can be BIM 360, it can be Dalux, but it's a place where you have a cloud solution in which you can gather your information. It means that it's all times up to date. There's no out of sync revised files. Managing this service can be optimized and automated. It will be controlled by applications, de facto blockchain solutions. In SIS, they have ways of making data flows through QR codes on site, and this has been adopted increasingly at a smart level and will work in all areas of site work. We're also seeing virtual reality making a huge impact. Virtual reality is where we make the model and we can virtually travel through it, see what it does, and do fly-throughs. So it's a computer-generated environment with scenes and objects that appear to be real, so it's photorealistic, and so we can actually see the building before we ever put a foot on site. We're seeing artificial reality, which is a virtual reality technology that blends what the user sees in their surroundings with the digital content generated by the software. So it's then effectively putting the virtual world into the real world. Realities is where we can begin to mix and see how they impact each other. So we have the objects, we also have agents, which allows us to interact through the objects. Guiding us through all of this is going to be something called the single source of truth. We've all seen we can't trust clips we see about Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. We don't know if it's fake news, virtual world, or is it real? So we need something that will tell us that it's true. And this is going to be blockchain as well. Blockchain will allow us to bring the soothing oil that makes the cogs effortlessly engage to improve the way we work together. I'll come back to this, but I just want to flag it here now. If our education does become simpler or shorter, where will our efforts and attentions be drawn to? And one area that offers great potential is innovation and the adoption of recycling, upcycling of what is regarded today as waste. Currently, there are no proper methods for assessing waste and proving the robustness of the proposed solutions. This will require much research by the trying and testing of various proposals to consider their worth. So currently, in a lot of real-time LCA programs, a new brick can be given values and parameters, whereas a recycled brick, we don't know how robust it is, and so therefore you can't enter it into the machine. We're also going to see a lot more transformation. Some would say we shouldn't be building anymore, that it's not sustainable. But what they are definitely saying is all the buildings we have, we should be reusing and transforming. And this is where artificial intelligence and machine learning will make a big impact. We have to see. We're looking at data integration. This means that the data we generate is being integrated in all processes in which we work in. Here is an image of a student of mine in his final year. He's built the house in Revit, and then he's used a Revit plugin, Veras, which is an AI-powered visualization app that uses the 3D geometry as a substrate for creativity and inspiration. So the background has been added, the lighting has been added, the effects on the timber are all generated by the AI. This is going to have a huge impact in the industry. Now, while we have these problems, we also need to be looking at what does the industry need from us? How can we make ourselves useful again? I'm currently involved in an Arise program. It's a Horizon program from the European Union. And what we're doing is we're trying to make an app that will supply skill sets for people so that if you're lacking something, you have an easy local app that can take you to where you need to be. It's addressing the whole construction industry. It's looking at, do we need to take some modules to get a course? Do we need solution to a building on site issue? How do you place something? Is there an app? Can I get it? And so what this does is the app provides just-in-time Moodle modules so that you can get the information you need when you need it. We looked at these skill sets and we listed them here. What are the skill sets people need to have in order to be competitive and useful in this world today? We need to inspire demand for sustainable energy skills by providing clear learning interactions, transparency of upskilling transactions, and recognition of qualifications achieved. So if you go and get skills, we need a method that can validate them, can say that you have them. And this app that we are generating or producing will actually at the beginning go in and look at you as a user, a trainee. It will ask you some questions and then it will give you feedback that if you're an architect, a technologist, a builder, a client, whatever it is you're in the industry, it will give you a stepping stone saying, on a level of 1 to 10, you are average, a beginner, an expert. And then having asked you some initial questions and establishing where you are and what you are, it will then, if you wish, start mapping a learning curve for you. So it will say, do you need early BIM? Do you need how to measure CO2? Do you need how to measure energy? It will then go in and offer you modules. You need to take modules 17 to 33. If it sees that you've randomly taken modules 17 to 30, it might then inspire you to say, if you take these other 3 modules, you might actually get a certification that you can then bank. If you want to get a certification, something like Building Smart, it can map out that you need to take these modules to achieve that, and so you can go away and do them in your own time. So it's trying to be proactive and interactive with the user, mapping the skills that they're getting and suggesting skills that would give them an advantage. Today's millennials require training and upskilling. They need an education that is task-based. The skills delivered has to be dynamic rather than static. Upskilling is not an option, but a necessity. Across Europe, we can see that 85% of EU jobs need basic digital skills. 8.6 million people are predicted not to have the necessary skills by 2030. How do we tackle this? There is a skills shortage across Europe. Opportunities are being missed. By addressing this, we can have a workforce with the necessary skills. Skills matter. In the caption here, the only thing worse than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay. That is poignant. So we need to find out how we can upskill people. It could be that you qualified 10 years ago. It could be that you feel, I need to go back and learn how to measure how much CO2 is in a building. It could be I need to go back and improve my BIM skills. So this is an app that allows you to address those shortages. We use gamification so that we engage the user. So there'll be a leaderboard showing how good you're doing. It will be something that engages and removes the friction from the process. So it should be motivating to you, challenging as well, and rewarding, and giving you achievements. Task-based outcomes enable micro-learning. So is micro-learning a 4-minute module, or is it 10 of those built up to a full module that gives you a badge? The upskilling levels is one, we have self-assessment, where you go in and assess yourself in the opening screens. Then we give you an overview of the skills gaps. We can then propose a personal plan, and we can identify milestones as you achieve them going through the process. It's also encouraging you to come back. We don't want you starting out with a lot of hype and hope, only to find out that, I can't get back. So we will prompt you that you've come so far, don't give up now. Arise is developing an open competency-based qualification scheme based on maturity levels that empower micro-learning so that learning transactions count. It creates a system for issuing, verifying and sharing micro-credentials for learning credits, creating a digital platform allowing learners to store credentials while enabling them to share them with educational institutions and employers. It's revolutionizing the learning process by monetizing the skills and learning exchange with a system based on skill recognition rather than accreditation. That's important. It also builds up the notion of trust. When we come into digitalization, initially I thought it was the implementation of technology. Very quickly I found out it's about collaboration and how I can trust what the others around me are doing. So it looks on reliability, truth, and the ability to engage with others. And this is most important today. It can also be used to verify that what you have done is yours. So there's no cheating, there's no claiming to have whatever you're claiming. It can be verified by blockchain. There is engagement. We seek to engage stakeholders beyond handover, and it has the ability to reward. So if you are working, you can be rewarded, accredited with what you're getting. So if you propose a building that will save 20% in energy for the next 20 years, a method is needed to avert greenwash to deliver the goods. Such a situation could mean a payout of 5% of the savings each year that the building delivers, whether it is measured on energy bills or monitored and censored on the building dashboard. This is not in the industry today. It's something that keeps on giving. When you buy a car, usually you look at energy performance, what it does to the kilometre. This will increasingly become the same in buildings, in construction. So we need ways of measuring the performance of the building. And this is somewhere where digitalization can give us that. We've all heard of the barber surgeons that came about during wars, where the sick and wounded, after the battle, you might need a leg amputated. There was no anesthesia, there was no ether. So 3 guys would hold you down while the barber surgeon sawed off your leg, your arm, whatever it is that had to be removed. As hospitals grew in society, often the operating theatres were placed beside the mortuary in case something went wrong, and so that the screams cannot be heard in the rest of the hospital. Today, there is a divide between a doctor and a surgeon. Surgeons now arguably probably earn more than doctors because they do so much more cosmetic surgery, whatever, you name it. But a doctor is still called a doctor, and in the UK and a lot of the English-speaking world, a surgeon is still referred to as a Mr. or Miss. Data is a commodity, therefore it has value. We need to incentivize all professionals to engage with that data. Blockchain has the ability to affect smart contracts. It can be appraised in real time, and payment can be made and verified when it's done. It's a trusted framework of data, it's a ledger, it's decentralized, immutable, and readily available. It's the single version of truth. It improves trust, and it can validate what you hold and have. It has trace and traceability, it has a ledger, and it can reward such practices. So you can always know where you are and what you're doing and what you're at. It applies across a lot of those things there. Here is how our app is mapped out, where we have a database and we have a learning locker, and we can award badges as you learn through what we're working with. Thank you very much.